The morning light filtered through the curtains of our bedroom, casting soft shadows across the empty space beside me. 7 years. 7 years of waking up alone in a bed meant for two. I pulled myself up, my body aching from yesterday's labor at my in-laws' estate, and placed a hand on my still flat stomach. I was pregnant. 8 weeks along, according to the test I'd taken in secret last Sunday. The knowledge should have filled me with joy, but instead, it settled like a stone in my chest. Han Min. My mother-in-law's shrill voice echoed through the house. The breakfast won't make itself. I closed my eyes, took a breath, and rose. This was my life now, had been for 7 years since I married Alpha Biom-su at 25. Back then, I thought I was the luckiest Omega in Seoul. Biom-su was handsome, successful, from a prominent family. I was just a modest Omega who worked at a bookstore, and somehow he'd chosen me. What a fool I'd been. I moved through the morning routine mechanically, preparing breakfast for my in-laws, packing Biom-su's lunch, cleaning the already spotless kitchen. My phone buzzed. A message from my husband. Working late with Hannah again. Don't wait up. Hannah. Always Hannah. I remembered the day Biom-su first introduced us, just weeks before our wedding. Han Min, this is Hannah, my best friend since childhood, he'd said with such warmth. I'd been thrilled. In our entire engagement, Biom-su had never introduced me to anyone from his life. I thought it meant he was finally letting me in. How naive I was. Hannah was a beta woman in her late 20s, pretty in an understated way, with sad eyes that seemed to draw people in. She had such a difficult childhood, Biom-su explained later. Her parents were abusive. She has no one. I promised I'd always look after her. Noble. Protective. These were qualities I admired in my Alpha. I never imagined they would destroy me. Over the years, I watched as the attention meant for me flowed to her instead. Biom-su bought her diamond necklaces. I received nothing, told that a house husband doesn't need such frivolities. He gifted her a luxury car. I took the bus to my in-laws' house for my daily chores. He stayed out until dawn with her. I slept alone, my heat cycles managed with suppressants because my husband was never home. You're being unreasonable, he'd say whenever I gathered the courage to complain. Hannah needs support. She's fragile. You're my Omega, you have everything you need. A home, security. What more do you want? What more did I want? I wanted my husband to look at me the way he looked at her. I wanted him to remember my birthday. I wanted him to touch me with something other than clinical efficiency during my heats. I wanted to matter. But I stayed silent. Omegas like me were taught to be grateful, to serve, to not make waves. So I swallowed my hurt and played my role. Until that Sunday morning when I saw those 2 pink lines. I'm pregnant, I told Biom-su that evening when he finally came home at 11 p.m., smelling of Hannah's perfume. He barely looked up from his phone. Well, that's good. Make sure you schedule proper prenatal care. I don't want any complications. No congratulations. No joy. No embrace. Just practical concerns delivered with the warmth of a business memo. I have a doctor's appointment next Thursday, I said quietly. The doctor said you should come. They want to speak with both of us about. I'll check my schedule, he interrupted. Hannah has a gallery opening that day. Of course she did. But by some miracle, or perhaps cosmic irony, Biom-su agreed to take me. Maybe his parents pressured him about appearances. Maybe he felt a flicker of duty. I didn't care about the reason. For once he would be there. Thursday arrived cold and gray. I dressed carefully in my best maternity-appropriate clothes, though my pregnancy barely showed. I wanted to look good for my husband, wanted him to see me as more than just the Omega who cleaned his house and warmed his bed during heats. The car pulled up and my heart sank. Hannah sat in the front passenger seat, Biom-su behind the wheel. Of course. Even this one appointment about our child, she had to be part of it. Hope you don't mind, Han Min, Hannah said with that soft, fragile voice of hers. I had an appointment in the same area, and Biom-su offered to drive me. I minded so much I could taste bile. But I said nothing, just climbed into the back seat like a child being driven by his parents and their friend. They chatted the whole drive about art and restaurants and people I didn't know. I stared out the window, one hand on my stomach, talking silently to the tiny life inside me. It'll be okay, I promised my baby. Once you're here, everything will change. He'll love you. He has to. I didn't see the truck run the red light. One moment we were driving through an intersection. The next, there was screaming metal and shattering glass and pain. So much pain. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the pavement. Red and blue lights swirled above me. Someone was crying. My body felt wrong, distant, like it belonged to someone else. We have 3 patients, I heard a paramedic say. The driver's injuries are minor. The 2 passengers are critical. We can only stabilize one at a time for transport. Who do we prioritize? Through the haze of pain, I saw Byung-Soo standing there, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Nothing serious. His eyes moved between Hannah's crumpled form and mine. "Sir, you need to decide," the paramedic pressed. "Your pregnant husband or—" "Take Hannah first," Byung-Soo said. His voice was clear, decisive. "She's the priority. My Omega can wait." The words cut deeper than any physical injury. I tried to speak, to call out to him, but only a wheeze emerged. My hand moved to my stomach where wetness was spreading. Blood, so much blood. The baby, I thought desperately. Our baby. "Sir, your husband is hemorrhaging." I said, "Take Hannah." Byung-Soo's voice rose, alpha command ringing through it. "She matters more. Save her first. Han Min is strong, he can hold on." But I couldn't. I felt my consciousness slipping, darkness creeping in from the edges. This was how it ended. Not cherished or valued, but set aside for a woman who wasn't even his mate, wasn't carrying his child. As the darkness claimed me, one thought burned through my fading mind. If I had another chance, if I could do this over, I would make them all pay. I gasped awake, jerking upright in bed. My heart hammered against my ribs as I clutched the sheets, expecting pain, expecting blood, expecting death. But there was nothing. I was in my bedroom, morning light streaming through the windows. The same light I'd seen countless mornings before. My hands flew to my stomach. Flat. Soft. I felt different. Lighter. Confused, I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. The date made my breath catch. 2 weeks after I'd first discovered I was pregnant. 2 weeks before the accident. "No," I whispered. "This isn't possible." But when I stumbled to the bathroom and found the pregnancy test still in its box under the sink, the same test I'd taken what felt like yesterday but according to the date was 13 days from now, I had to accept the impossible. I'd gone back. Somehow, someway, I'd been given a second chance. I sank onto the bathroom floor, trembling. The memories were crystal clear. The accident, Byung-Soo's choice, the feeling of my life bleeding away on that cold pavement. It had happened. I knew it had happened. And now I had the chance to make sure it never would. For the first time in 7 years, I felt something other than resignation or quiet despair. I felt fury. White-hot, burning fury at everything they'd done to me, everything they'd taken from me. Byung-Soo wanted to treat me like I was nothing? His parents wanted to work me like a servant? Hannah wanted to play the tragic damsel while stealing my husband? Fine. But this time I wouldn't be the silent, suffering Omega. This time I would fight back. I took the pregnancy test that morning, though I already knew what it would say. 2 pink lines appeared, confirming what my body had already told me. I was pregnant. Again. But this time would be different. This time I would protect my child and myself. And I would make sure everyone who'd hurt me faced the consequences of their cruelty. The next 2 weeks were a careful dance of pretending everything was normal while quietly building my case. I played the dutiful Omega husband, cooking and cleaning and serving with the same silent efficiency I always had. But now, every time Byung-Soo came home late smelling of Hannah's perfume, I documented it. Every expensive gift he bought her, I photographed the receipts I found in his jacket pockets. Every cruel word from my in-laws I recorded on my phone. I created a hidden cloud account they could never access and uploaded everything. Photos of the labor my in-laws forced me to do, scrubbing floors, hauling heavy boxes, working in their garden for hours until my hands bled. Screenshots of Byung-Soo's credit card statements showing thousands spent on Hannah monthly while I was given a pittance for household expenses. Videos of my in-laws berating me, calling me worthless, telling me I should be grateful their son married someone like me. And most damning of all, evidence of Byung-Soo and Hannah's affair. I'd suspected for years but never had proof. Now, knowing what to look for, I found it everywhere. Hotel receipts. Intimate text messages on the iPad he left unlocked. Photos on Hannah's social media, tagged at romantic restaurants on nights Byung-Soo told me he was working late. They weren't even careful. They didn't think the dull, obedient Omega would ever think to look. One evening I followed them. Byung-Soo had told me he had a business dinner. Instead, I watched him pick up Hannah and drive to an upscale hotel. I sat in my car for 3 hours, taking photos with timestamps, until they emerged, Hannah's hair mussed, Byung-Soo's shirt untucked. I cried in that car. Not from heartbreak. My heart had broken long ago. I cried from rage. From years of swallowed pain. From all the times I'd blamed myself for not being enough when the truth was, he'd never given me a real chance. When I had enough evidence to bury them all, I began researching lawyers. I needed someone who specialized in Omega rights, who had a track record of winning against powerful families, who wouldn't be intimidated by the Kim name and their money. That's when I found attorney Ryan Yu. Ryan Yu's office was in Gangnam, in a sleek high-rise that spoke of serious money. I'd made the appointment under a false name, paranoid that the receptionist might recognize Kim Han Min and alert my husband's family. The man who greeted me was not what I expected. Attorney Ryan Yu was tall and imposing, probably in his mid-30s, with sharp eyes that seemed to see straight through me. He wore an expensive suit tailored perfectly to his frame, and he moved with the confidence of someone who'd never been afraid of anything in his life. "Mr. Park," he said, using the fake name I'd given. His voice was deep, professional. "Please have a seat." I sat, clutching my folder of evidence like a lifeline. Now that I was here, I felt suddenly uncertain. What if he didn't believe me? What if he thought I was making it all up? I need help, I managed. "I'm in a difficult situation, and I heard you specialize in Omega rights cases." "I do." He leaned back in his chair, studying me with those penetrating eyes. "Why don't you start by telling me your real name?" My breath caught. How did you? "I'm very good at my job, Mr. Kim Han Min." A slight smile played at his lips. "And I make it my business to know when someone is trying to hide their identity." "Now, what kind of trouble are you in?" Something about his directness, his complete lack of judgment, made the words spill out. I told him everything. 7 years of emotional abuse and neglect. My in-laws treating me like unpaid labor. My husband's affair with Hannah. The way they'd slowly ground me down until I believed I deserved nothing better. I pulled out my evidence folder and spread it across his desk. I documented everything. I have proof of the affair, the financial abuse, the forced labor, all of it. I want a divorce, and I want to make sure my child and I are protected. Attorney Ryan went through my evidence methodically, his expression growing darker with each page. When he finished, he looked up at me with something I hadn't seen in years: respect. "This is excellent work," he said. "Thorough, well-documented, damning. You could ruin them with this." "I want to," I admitted. "I want them to feel a fraction of what they made me feel." He studied me for a long moment. "I need to be honest with you about who I am, Mr. Kim. Yes, I'm a lawyer. One of the best in Seoul. But I also have other business interests. Some people call me a mafia lawyer. I work within the law when it suits me, but I'm also not afraid to use pressure, influence, and fear to get results. I particularly despise people who abuse their power over Omegas." His words should have frightened me. Instead, I felt a fierce satisfaction. Good. Because my husband's family is powerful. They'll fight dirty. I need someone who can fight dirtier. A slow smile spread across Attorney Ryan's face. "Then you came to the right place. I'll take your case, Mr. Kim. And I promise you this, by the time I'm done, your husband and his family will regret every moment they made you suffer." For the first time in 7 years, I felt hope. Attorney Ryan moved fast. Within days, he had filed divorce papers citing adultery, financial abuse, and emotional cruelty. He also filed a separate suit against my in-laws for forced labor and Omega abuse. And because he was Ryan Yu, every reputable media outlet in Seoul somehow got wind of the story. The headlines were brutal. Chaebol heir's secret affair while Omega husband suffered. Kim family accused of Omega exploitation. Pregnant Omega speaks out against alpha husband's betrayal. Byung-soo called me within hours of the news breaking, his voice shaking with rage. "What the hell have you done?" "What I should have done years ago," I said calmly. "I was at a safe house Attorney Ryan had arranged, far from my husband and his family. I'm done being your doormat, Byung-soo." "You ungrateful. Do you have any idea what you've done to our family's reputation?" "Your reputation?" I laughed bitterly. "You destroyed me for 7 years and you're worried about reputation?" I documented everything, Byung-soo. The affair, the way your parents treated me, all of it. The world knows what kind of family you really are. "This is about Hannah, isn't it?" His voice turned cold. "You're jealous. You always have been. She needed me. She was sleeping with you. While I was your husband. While I was pregnant with your child." The words tore out of me. "You chose her over me at that accident, Byung-soo. You let me and our baby die because she mattered more." Silence. Then, "What accident?" "Han Min, what are you talking about?" I'd said too much, revealed knowledge of a future that hadn't happened yet. "It doesn't matter. What matters is I'm done. Sign the papers. Give me what I'm owed. Or Attorney Ryan will make your life a living hell." He hung up. But Attorney Ryan had warned me he would try to fight. The Kim family didn't give up easily. True to form, Byung-soo's parents hired the most expensive legal team in Seoul. They tried everything, claiming I was an unfit Omega, that I was mentally unstable, that I was lying about the abuse. But Attorney Ryan was better. For every accusation they made, he had evidence to refute it. Photos of my bruised knees from scrubbing floors. Medical records showing malnourishment and stress. Testimony from neighbors who'd witnessed my in-laws berating me. And then there was the affair evidence. Hotel records. Hannah's own text messages, obtained through means I probably shouldn't ask about. Photos that left no doubt about the nature of their relationship. The trial was brutal. I had to sit in that courtroom and listen to Bomsu's lawyers try to paint me as a gold digger, a manipulator, an omega who'd trapped their client into marriage. But Attorney Ryan destroyed every argument. He was magnificent in court, sharp, relentless, devastating. He made Bomsu admit to the affair. He made my in-laws confess to the forced labor. He painted such a clear picture of my suffering that even the judge looked sympathetic. Your Honor, Attorney Ryan said in his closing argument, my client spent 7 years being treated as less than human by people who should have cherished him. He endured emotional abuse, financial control, and humiliation. He was forced to watch his husband lavish affection and money on another woman while he was given nothing. And through it all, he stayed silent because he'd been conditioned to believe he deserved no better. But my client is done being silent. He's done being a victim. And he deserves justice. The verdict came down 2 weeks later. Divorce granted. Full custody of the baby to me. And here's where Attorney Ryan's other business interests came into play. Somehow, someway, Bomsu and his parents found themselves signing over majority ownership of the family company to a trust for my unborn child, with me as the trustee until the child came of age. They also signed over significant financial assets. Everything I needed to raise my child in comfort and security. How did you do it? I asked Attorney Ryan afterward. We were in his office celebrating the victory. He smiled that dangerous smile. Let's just say I have friends in various industries. The Kim family learned that fighting me would cost them far more than settling. They made the smart choice. I should have been satisfied. I'd won. I was free. But as I watched Bomsu and his parents leave the courthouse, broken and humiliated, I felt empty. You're wondering if revenge was worth it, Attorney Ryan observed. Is it terrible that I want to feel more satisfaction? Not terrible. Human. He poured us both a drink. But the real satisfaction will come later, Mr. Kim. When you build a beautiful life for yourself and your child. When you find genuine happiness. That's the best revenge of all. And as if on cue, that's when Hannah's true colors finally showed. The text message came from an unknown number, but I recognized Bomsu's typing style. It was a screenshot of a conversation with Hannah, sent without comment, just raw proof of his devastation. In the messages, Hannah laid it all out. She'd never loved him. She'd been using him for money and status. Now that he was broke and disgraced, she wanted nothing to do with him. You were fun while you had money, Bomsu, but I'm not interested in playing house with a has-been. Good luck with your pathetic life. The fragile, tragic Hannah had been an act all along. She was cold, calculating, and mercenary. Everything Bomsu had sacrificed for her. His marriage, his family's reputation, his integrity, had been for a woman who'd been playing him the entire time. A follow-up text from Bomsu appeared. You were right about everything. I'm sorry. Too little too late. But I felt a grim satisfaction knowing he finally understood what he'd thrown away. I deleted the messages and moved on with my life. My pregnancy progressed smoothly. I found a beautiful apartment in a quiet neighborhood, decorated a nursery in soft yellows and greens, and prepared for my child's arrival. For the first time in years, I felt peace. And then there was Attorney Ryan. He'd stayed in my life after the trial ended, checking in regularly to make sure the Kims were honoring the settlement, that I was safe and cared for. His concern felt genuine, not professional obligation. You don't have to keep doing this, I told him one evening. He'd brought dinner to my apartment, concerned that I wasn't eating enough. I know I don't have to. He set out the food he'd brought, expensive takeout from my favorite restaurant, which he somehow knew without me telling him. I want to. Why? I asked bluntly. The case is over. You've been paid. You don't owe me anything. Attorney Ryan was quiet for a moment, arranging the containers with more care than necessary. My younger brother was an omega, he finally said. Was. Past tense. My breath caught. I'm sorry. He married an alpha who promised to cherish him. Instead, that bastard abused him for 3 years before my brother couldn't take it anymore. He took his own life. The pain in Ryan's voice was raw, real. I was young, still in law school. I couldn't protect him. I couldn't save him. So you save other omegas instead, I said softly. I try. But with you, it's different. He met my eyes. You're not just another case, Han Min. You're brave and strong and you fought back when you could have given up. You're remarkable. Something warm bloomed in my chest. No one had ever called me remarkable before. I'm not that special. I just did what I had to do. That's what makes you special. He reached across the table and took my hand. You don't see it yet, but you will. You're going to be an amazing father. You're going to build a beautiful life. And if you'll let me, I'd like to be part of it. Ryan. I didn't know what to say. After everything with BOM Sue, the thought of trusting another alpha terrified me. I know it's too soon, he said quickly. I know you need time to heal. I'm not asking for anything right now except the chance to be your friend, to support you, and maybe someday if you're ready, to be more. I looked at this powerful, dangerous man who'd fought for me when no one else would, who'd seen me at my lowest and treated me with dignity, who'd avenged me without expecting anything in return. I'd like that, I whispered. Being friends. For now. His smile was gentle, patient. For now is perfect. The months that followed were the happiest I'd ever known. Ryan became a constant presence in my life, not overwhelming, not demanding, just there. He came to my prenatal appointments, held my hand during ultrasounds, helped me assemble baby furniture. He was nothing like Bomb Sue. He listened when I talked. He noticed when I was tired or uncomfortable. He brought me food and books and anything he thought might make me smile. He treated me like I mattered. Slowly, carefully, I let my walls come down. Tell me about yourself, I said one evening. We were on my couch, my feet in his lap while he rubbed them. Pregnancy had made them constantly sore, and Ryan had somehow known without being told. What do you want to know? Everything. You know all my secrets. I know almost nothing about you. He smiled. Fair point. Well, I'm 35. I was raised in Busan by my grandmother after my parents died. My brother was 4 years younger than me. I basically raised him. Got into law school on scholarship, worked my way up, and built my practice. The mafia connections came later, mostly through clients who needed help other lawyers couldn't provide. Do you ever worry about the legality of what you do? Sometimes, he admitted. But then I think about people like you, people who'd never get justice through conventional means, and I make my peace with it. I operate in gray areas, but I have lines I won't cross. I don't hurt innocent people. I don't help criminals. I just make sure the powerful can't abuse the powerless. My avenging angel, I teased gently. If that's what you need me to be. His hands moved from my feet to my calves, strong and warm. Though I'd prefer to be your partner. Your equal. Your choice. I'm starting to think you might be, I admitted. He looked at me with such hope, such tenderness that my heart ached. Yeah. I reached out and touched his face, feeling the slight stubble on his jaw. You're nothing like him, Ryan. You're kind. You see me. You make me feel like I'm worth something. You're worth everything, Han Min. He turned his head and kissed my palm. You always were. He was just too stupid to see it. The kiss started gentle, Ryan leaning in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. I didn't. I met him halfway, my lips touching his softly, carefully. It felt like coming home. The kiss deepened gradually. His hand cupped my face, thumb stroking my cheek. I sighed against his mouth, and he took the invitation, tongue sliding against mine in a slow, thorough exploration. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ryan rested his forehead against mine. I've wanted to do that for months. Why didn't you? Because you needed time. You needed to heal. I wasn't going to rush you just because I was falling for you. Falling for me? My voice came out breathy, surprised. Completely. Helplessly. Hopelessly falling for you, Kim Han Min. He pulled back to look at me. But I need you to know, I don't want to replace what you lost. I want to build something new with you. Something better. If you'll have me. I thought about BOM Sue, about 7 years of loneliness and pain. Then I thought about these past months with Ryan, about laughter and companionship and feeling valued. I'm pregnant with another man's child, I said. I come with baggage and trauma and trust issues. I know. I don't care. I might not be ready for everything right away. Physical intimacy, emotional vulnerability, it might take time. I'll wait as long as you need. And if I'm never ready? If I'm too damaged? You're not damaged. You're healing. There's a difference. He kissed me again, soft and sweet. And I'm not going anywhere. I believed him. For the first time in years, I believed someone when they promised to stay. Okay, I whispered against his lips. Let's try this. Let's build something new. His smile was radiant. Best decision you'll ever make, Omega mine. Alphas and their possessiveness, I teased. Only for you. Only ever for you. My daughter was born on a rainy spring morning, 6 pounds of perfect, squirming life. I held her and cried, overwhelmed by love and relief and gratitude for the second chance I'd been given. Ryan was there, of course. He'd been by my side through the entire labor, holding my hand, whispering encouragement, looking at me like I was performing a miracle. She's beautiful, he breathed, gazing at my daughter with wonder. Just like her father. Do you want to hold her? I offered. He looked startled. Are you sure? I'm not. I mean, she's not. She's mine. And you're mine. That makes you hers too if you want to be. Carefully, reverently, Ryan took my daughter into his arms. She settled against him immediately, and something in my chest swelled at the sight. "Hello, little one," Ryan murmured. "I'm going to love you and protect you and make sure you never doubt for a second that you're cherished." "She already has the best father she could ask for," I said softly. Ryan's eyes met mine, shining with emotion. "And the best Omega father anyone could hope for. We're going to give her such a good life, Han Min. I promise." "We already are," I said, meaning it. The years that followed proved me right. Ryan officially adopted my daughter when she was 6 months old. We moved into a house together when she was 1. We got married, a real marriage full of love and partnership, when she was 2. Bom-Su and his parents faded into obscurity. They lived quiet lives on the reduced means I'd left them, and I heard through the grapevine that Bom-Su never remarried. Part of me felt sorry for him. Most of me didn't care. Hannah disappeared entirely, probably off to find another rich mark to manipulate. And me? I finally had the life I'd always deserved. A husband who loved me. A daughter who was the light of our lives. Financial security. Happiness. Sometimes I still thought about that moment on the pavement, bleeding out, being told I wasn't worth saving. But instead of pain, the memory brought satisfaction. Because I'd been given a second chance and I'd used it to build something beautiful. Revenge had been sweet. But this love, this family, this life, was sweeter still. "Daddy? Papa. Look what I drew." I looked up from my laptop to see my daughter, now 7 years old, racing toward us with a drawing clutched in her hands. Ryan scooped her up, settling her on his lap to examine her artwork. "It's our family," she explained proudly. "That's you, Papa, and that's Daddy, and that's me, and that's our dog." "It's perfect," Ryan declared, kissing her head. "Just like you." She giggled and squirmed away, running back to her art supplies. Ryan moved to sit beside me on the couch, pulling me against his side. "Happy?" he asked, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Completely," I said honestly. And I was. 7 years into our marriage and I was still discovering new ways to love this man. "Good. Because I have something for you." He pulled a small box from his pocket. "Ryan, you already gave me a gift this morning. This isn't for our anniversary." "Well, it is, but it's more than that." He opened the box to reveal a delicate necklace with a pendant shaped like a phoenix. 7 years ago, you rose from the ashes of your old life and became someone new. Someone stronger. This is to remind you of how far you've come. I touched the pendant, emotion welling up. "It's beautiful. You're beautiful. Inside and out. And I'm grateful every single day that you chose to build this life with me." I kissed him then, deep and tender, pouring everything I felt into it. When we broke apart, I whispered, "Best decision I ever made." "Second best," he corrected with a smile. "The first was fighting back. Choosing yourself. Everything else came from that." He was right. The old me, the Omega who'd accepted scraps and called it love, was gone. In his place was someone who knew his worth, who demanded respect, who'd built a life of genuine happiness. I thought about Bom-Su sometimes, wondered if he ever regretted his choices. But mostly I didn't think about him at all. He was a chapter I'd closed, a lesson I'd learned, a past I'd overcome. This, Ryan's arm around me, our daughter's laughter filling the house, the knowledge that I was loved and cherished, this was my present and my future. And it was everything I'd ever wanted and more. "I love you," I told Ryan, meaning it with every fiber of my being. "I love you too, Omega mine. Always and forever." Forever sounded perfect. The house was finally quiet. Our daughter had gone to sleep an hour ago after her bedtime story, and the soft sound of rain pattering against the windows created a peaceful cocoon around us. I stood in our bedroom, changed into comfortable silk pajamas, watching Ryan through the mirror as he emerged from the bathroom. Even after 7 years of marriage, the sight of him still made my heart skip. Tall and strong, moving with that confident grace that had first caught my attention. "She's definitely asleep," he said, coming up behind me and wrapping his arms around my waist. I checked twice. I leaned back against his chest, feeling safe and warm. "You're such a good father. I learned from the best." His lips found the sensitive spot behind my ear, making me shiver. "But now it's time for me to focus on being a good husband." I turned in his arms, looping mine around his neck. "You're already the best husband I could ask for. Still, I can always improve." His eyes darkened with affection and desire. "It's our anniversary. Let me show you how much I love you." Heat pooled in my belly at his words, at the promise in his gaze. Even after all this time, I wanted him as much as that first night we'd made love. More even, because now there was trust and deep affection layered over the physical attraction. "I'd like that," I whispered. Ryan cupped my face gently, his thumb stroking my cheeks as he looked at me with such tenderness it made my chest ache. "You're so beautiful, Han Min. Every day you take my breath away." Then he was kissing me, slow and deep, a thorough exploration that made my knees weak. His tongue slid against mine in a familiar dance, and I melted into him, letting him take control the way I never could with anyone else. We moved to the bed without breaking the kiss, Ryan guiding me backward until my legs hit the mattress. He lowered me down carefully, reverently, like I was something precious. "I love you," he murmured against my lips. "So much it terrifies me sometimes." "Don't be terrified. I'm not going anywhere." I pulled him down beside me, running my hands over his chest. "I'm yours, Ryan. Completely." His eyes flashed at my words, alpha possessiveness rising. "Mine," he agreed, voice rough. "My Omega. My husband. My everything." He kissed me again, deeper this time, hands beginning to explore. He unbuttoned my pajama top slowly, pressing kisses to each bit of skin he revealed, my collarbone, my chest, my stomach. His touch was worship, making me feel cherished and desired in equal measure. "You're overdressed," I managed, tugging at his shirt. He pulled it off in one smooth motion, and I let myself admire him. The broad shoulders, the defined muscles, the slight scars from his dangerous work that he'd accumulated over the years. My dangerous, protective alpha. I traced one scar on his ribs. "Does it ever frighten you? The work you do. Not for myself, but the thought of leaving you and our daughter." He caught my hand, kissing my palm. "That terrifies me. Which is why I'm always careful." "Good." I pulled him back down for another kiss. "Because we need you. I need you." The kissing grew more heated, more urgent. Ryan's hands mapped my body with familiar intimacy, knowing exactly where to touch to make me gasp, where to press to make me arch into him. Years of learning each other meant he could play me like an instrument. "Please," I breathed when his hand slid lower, teasing. "I need you. I've got you, Omega mine." His voice was thick with desire and affection. "Always." He took his time preparing me, fingers gentle and thorough, making sure I was ready. This was something I loved about Ryan. He never rushed, never took without giving, always made sure I was comfortable and wanting. By the time he positioned himself at my entrance, I was trembling with need, completely ready for him. "Look at me," he commanded softly, and I met his gaze as he slowly pushed inside. The stretch was familiar, perfect, completing me in a way nothing else could. Ryan groaned as he sank deeper, his length filling me inch by inch until we were fully joined. "Han Min," he breathed, staying still to let me adjust. "You feel incredible. Always so perfect for me." I wrapped my legs around his waist, urging him closer. "Move. Please move." He did, setting a slow, deep rhythm that made pleasure spark along my nerves. Each thrust was deliberate, angled perfectly to make me gasp. He braced himself on his forearms, keeping his weight off me while staying close enough that I could feel the heat of his skin, smell his familiar scent. "I love you," he murmured between kisses. "Love you so much. You changed my life." Han Min made everything better. "You saved me," I gasped as he hit a particularly sensitive spot. "Gave me everything I never thought I'd have." The pace gradually increased, pleasure building between us like a rising tide. Ryan's hands slipped between our bodies, wrapping around my length and stroking in time with his thrusts. The dual sensation was overwhelming in the best way. "That's it," he encouraged, watching my face. "Let go for me, Omega. I want to see you fall apart." His words, combined with his touch and the perfect rhythm of his length moving inside me, pushed me over the edge. I came with a cry that I had to muffle against his shoulder, pleasure washing through me in waves. Ryan followed moments later, his own release triggered by the feeling of me tightening around him. He buried his face in my neck, holding me close as he trembled through his climax. We stayed like that for long moments, catching our breath, hearts beating together. When Ryan finally pulled out and rolled to the side, he immediately gathered me against his chest, unwilling to lose contact. "You okay?" he asked softly, pressing a kiss to my forehead. "Perfect," I murmured, already feeling boneless and sleepy. "That was..." "Yeah." I could hear the smile in his voice. "Happy anniversary, love." "Happy anniversary." I tilted my head up for a gentle kiss. "Here's to many more." "Many, many more," he agreed, pulling the blanket over us both. "I love you, Kim Han Min." "I love you too, Ryan Yu." I fell asleep in his arms, safe and loved and happy, exactly where I was always meant to be.